Hey, everybody, and welcome to module number 4. First off, it's kind of crazy that we're almost to the halfway point of class, right? I think that time just keeps flying by, and we just keep grinding through. But I really also really think module 4 is a very important unit because this is a key piece of writing or type of writing that you're going to do moving forward. The last big piece we do is an argumentative piece. And that's important, and you're going to do a lot of that. But I think this piece here, this comparison, this comparative analysis or comparing text together, this is super huge because you're going to use this in a lot of different contexts. You're going to have this in a lot of different classes. You're going to have this as a component of a lot of other types of writing that you're going to do. So I think it's super important to be able to kind of understand this process and be comfortable and familiar with it. Basically, what we're doing is with the comparison, the comparative analysis, we're taking two texts or more, it could be more, and we're kind of laying them side by side and saying, look, this is what this one says, and this one what this says. Here's how they're similar, and here's how they're divergent or they're dissimilar. And then we talk about the reasons why that's important. And I think that's the real key piece there. The analysis piece is, okay, yeah, they're different, but why? Why does that matter? If you think about Burger King and McDonald's, they both serve cheeseburgers. Okay, big deal. That's how they're the same. But McDonald's is a fried burger and Burger King is a grilled burger. And why does that matter? Well, because Burger King's going to take a little bit longer. And because it's a different process, they can charge a little bit more. And so you need to understand that, these two restaurants, while they serve the same thing, the thing that makes them different also plays into a lot of other features, a lot of other elements, right? And that's an analysis piece. And that's the piece that I think we really have to get to. So on this page here, we've got, the overview. We have what's going on here. We have our learning tasks for the module and our objectives to give you a sense of what's going on. And then we get right into the discussion of what is the writing project number 2, the comparative analysis. And again, we're going to show two things, how they're similar or dissimilar, and why does it really matter. That's the analysis piece. So we got the half draft, this module. This module will be the half draft. And then here's your overview, writing an essay that compares and analyzes key similarities and differences between two of the readings in our closed theme readings, okay? And the half draft is going to be somewhere between 450 and 600 words. The final draft will be at least 1,000 words, right? And then you're going to use either MLA or APA style. Either one is fine. Neither one of them stands out as anything different for this assignment. So whichever one you're more comfortable with, you can use. We go through, we have like the elements of the comparative analysis. We start with what is that thesis statement. So on that thesis statement, this is where you're going to kind of start to lay the groundwork of that comparison. Now, I think you want to be very careful to not state the obvious. Like the thesis statement should not be like, these share some similarities and some differences. We already know that, right? We expect that. They're two different articles. They're obviously not going to be the same. So this is where you start to really pick into that thing that you're going to use for the analysis. Both of these articles might reflect why we do this, but they come at it from different angles. So, okay, now we're starting to get into this, right? So we want to be very obvious. We don't want to state the obvious. We want to be laying that groundwork for that analysis piece. The arrangement, again, that's going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to have that introduction that engages us. This is where you're going to set the topic and you're going to set the tone. You're going to get our attention, and you're going to deliver that high impact thesis statement. I would suggest you end with that thesis statement because that's where a lot of your other teachers are going to be expecting it. It can arrive at anywhere in that first paragraph, but I think to get used to a lot of your other teachers, that's probably where it needs to be. I would have it in the first paragraph. I wouldn't have it in the second or third paragraph. Make sure it's in that opening paragraph, that introduction. Our essays aren't going to be that long, 1,000, 1,200 words. You don't have a lot of time to be putting things everywhere, right? Your comparisons. Now, here's where I think that we're going to start to where you need to really think this through, right? And we start to see some diversity in how each of us approaches our two articles. So I think it's, one of the things that's interesting about these articles is that they all fall under the same broad category. but they have so many different viewpoints on so many different aspects of how of how technology is impacting our lives. And some of them may look very similar on the surface, but when you really dig into them, are they really that similar, right? Or they might seem like, oh, those are two way out there, but they do share a lot of elements, right? And so, it's kind of interesting to be able to pick those parts out and be able to show those. Again, I want to remind you that when you do the half draft, the minimum is the half. The minimum is that you're expected to turn in half of the essay for feedback from me and from others this semester. But the more you can turn in, the better, right? Like the more you can turn in, you're going to get more feedback. You're going to get more information. You're going to have more that you can work with. So I always recommend that you try to write more than the half draft, okay? But the minimum is the half draft. The minimum is. The final draft will be due in module number 5. And again, remember, APA or MLA style. The final draft will be more than 1,000 words. And then I think it's also important to remember that we will not be using any first or second person in this writing. We do have a video here that talks about how to annotate text. I think that's going to be important as you analyze and really start to pick apart your articles. A couple things that we know about reading. First off, we know that if we just give you a text and ask you to read it, you're going to get something out of it. You're going to read it, and you're going to okay, thanks, But how much did you really get out of it? So we want to start thinking about how can we develop some procedures to make you interact with the text and to slow down. We know if we slow down, you're going to get more out of the text. We know that if you interact with the text, it's going to get you more, right? Like if you're in there, you're highlighting, you're commenting, you're doing these things, right? You're going to get more out of it. So this is a video that kind of talks to you a little bit about how to annotate. There's no one real way to annotate, but anything you can do to interact with the text is going to be beneficial for you. We do have the module 4 closed research theme check-in. Again, the purpose of the check-in is to kind of just keep you looking at new text, more text, so that when we get to the end of the semester, you get to the argumentative or the researched argument essay. You've got a lot of different articles to pick from. You've seen a lot of different viewpoints, a lot of different topics, and so you have like a broad thing that you can pick from. So the theme, the check-in this week, or this module, you're going to take 2 of them, and you're going to be answering these kinds of questions, right? And again, the purpose of this is just to get you kind of familiar with more of these texts, more of what these authors are saying, some diversity of some of those ideas within our big, broad topic. All right, so our discussion board for this module is a panel discussion, or kind of reenacting a panel discussion. And for this, you're going to participate in a panel discussion, an imaginary town hall, and you're going to write in the author, in the voice of the author of one of the closed theme readings that you just looked at in the check-in. Now, to be fair, to be honest, like this isn't a creative writing class, so it's not like, can you really recreate their voice? But the idea is that you approach the topic the same way they do. You approach it in the same language that they do, or the same style, right? So there is a video here to kind of get you thinking about what that might look like. But really what we're asking you to do is, in your initial post, identify yourself, and then acting as that author, then being able to ask and answer some of these kinds of questions, okay? How would you answer the guy in question? Or what issue regarding your closed thing do you seem as most important? Or what action or policy solution would you kind of advocate? So again, you're going to kind of take it on. You're using their perspective for this. You will take, after you post yours, you're going to respond to at least 2 of your classmates, and you're going to have these kinds of prompts to get you how to respond to them, how you might approach how you might approach your answer to their post. Now, remember, the goal is for the discussion board to be a discussion, it's a conversation. So you want to post your initial post early. You want to get that up there early. You want to be responding to the post on multiple days. You don't want to do everything all at once. That gives people a lot of opportunities to respond to a lot of different people. So we want to have multiple days, and to get the full points, you do need to be responding to more than the 2 minimum. We do have a slideshow that talks about the comparative analysis. Again, I think that you guys are familiar with the comparative analysis, the compare and contrast. I think the part that a lot of people aren't familiar with is the analytical part, or the part about why. Why does it really matter? And so this slideshow kind of walks you through not only the writing process, but gives you some examples of what that might look like. And so I think you're going to find a lot of good information in there. But again, the real key piece is here's how they're similar, here's how they're not, and here's why one of those matters, that we see one of those. We do also provide you a worksheet that you can use to kind of identify what some of those important elements are. So this is something that you might be able to use to help you narrow down what you're going to be looking at, so that you really get to the heart of those comparisons and be able to do that analysis. You have some supplemental learning materials here to help you kind of prepare to get that half draft ready to go. And then this time you are going to submit your half draft here in the half draft, and also on the discussion board, and you're going to get some peer feedback. Other students are going to be able to go in there. They're going to offer you some feedback. It's a really guided kind of process. So you're going to take your half draft and you're going to post it in 2 different places, here and on the discussion board. Please remember that the half draft, the minimum, the expectation is a half, but the more you can turn in, the better the feedback you're going to get, the more feedback you're going to have to help you get ready for the final draft. Hey guys, as you are working through this module, please remember that if you need something, if you are stuck, you need some help, please make sure you're reaching out. You don't want to suffer in silence. And good luck, everybody.